What is going on out there, peeps? Man, let me just say this. If ever time there was a video you don't want to miss and you want to listen to all the way through, this is that video. Because this is a kind of accumulation of things that I told you was going to happen. Good. If you are positioned the right way, you will benefit from everything you're about to hear. Now, we all know there's something going on around the world. Global currency resets are going to happen. Nasera, Jacera, whatever you want to call it, I'm just letting you know right now. We already seen the Zimbabwe dollar of all the damn dollars do the exchange. We've seen that the exchange rate has changed. I showed you that it's happening. As far as what people are getting, I don't know. I heard mixed different amounts. I heard that, you have to have one series and then you exchange it for another. The point being, it's happened. We know that we're on the very cusp of the Iraqi dinar rate changing. We know that Vietnam's currency rate's going to change here shortly as well. It has to. They're getting ready to be on the currency manipulation list for a third time in a row. As a matter of fact, the official list is not out and they're already on the list again. So what does this mean? I keep telling you guys, look, as much as I love the Iraqi dinar and I love the Vietnam dong, I'm also realistic. I like to be diversified just in case I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. And there's a reason for it. I'm going to show you. I told everybody, if you have not seen my video called Lessons from Cyprus, you really have got to go see that video, okay? There's a reason for it. I'm trying to teach people that everybody's like, when I get my money, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and buy a bunch of property and all this. And I was like, no, if I was you, I'd wait. Trust me when I tell you this, man. You want to wait. For those of you who are wondering which video that is, it's this one right here. Where you at? And let me come down to it. But anyways, you want to watch it. It's one of the most informative videos I ever did when I first started doing videos. It's a must for everybody, and there's a reason for it. These people had what was called a bail-in. Okay, their government took their money out of their bank, took it from them, literally stole their money. Right here, see this one right here? It says lessons from what happened in Cyprus. See this from 4 months ago. See this one right here? Go find it, click it, go watch it. It's one of the best. Actually, I did an updated version where I redone that one, so it's the same thing. So actually, let me just change what I just said because it's actually more recent, so you don't have to scroll all the way down there to it. It's actually redone up here. I did a thing called the redo. It's called Lessons from Cyprus Redo. Sorry, I do have a lot of different videos on here. But anyways, there's a more recent one. If you guys go look for it, it's up here somewhere. But it's very informative. It's important for you to see what happened to these people in Cyprus. Right here. See, this one says Lessons from Cyprus Redo. Okay, so the Lessons from Cyprus Redo. I can't stress this enough, how important it is to go watch those videos. Because it didn't just happen in Cyprus. It happened now in Australia, or it's getting ready to happen in Australia. It's happened in India, and it's starting to happen around the world, and I told you it was going to happen. So what did we learn from the Lessons from Cyprus? That people who bought real estate overnight, once this bail-in happened, the value of real estate overnight dropped between 20 and 25%. And then eventually it just kept going down, down, and down. So if you are blessed enough, and we get this thing crack-a-lacking, with the Iraqi dinar, this is why I tell you, do not keep your money in the bank. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you this guy explaining what's going to happen to real estate between now and the spring of 2021. So in other words, if you could lose anywhere between 20 and 50% of your wealth by buying real estate too soon, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? If you turn around and you buy these properties and they lose that type of value, it's going to take a very, very, very long time for you to recoup it because it's going to take a long time for house values to go back up. I'm going to show you what these experts say. Then I'm going to blow your mind. Mikey sent me a video. This guy explains, and this is back in 2012, and I'm going to show you how it applies now with what's going on with gold and silver. And trust me, you don't want to miss this video. I can't stress this enough. Everybody, we got Pimpy's Investment Chat Facebook group. It's the same name as a YouTube channel. We do talk about the Iraqi dinar, the Vietnam dong, the Zim dollar, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, you name it. We talk about it in here. It's free to come join. The link is in the description. I have a second group called The Hidden Things in Front of Your Eyes. This is more of current events and also those things that you might consider what do you want to call them? Conspiracy things, 9/11, false flag event, that kind of stuff. But anyways, the links for both of these will be in the description. It's free to come join. Come join us. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play, and then when I'm done, I'm going to leave a link to these videos so you can come and check the full ones out yourself. But there's pieces of it. I want you to hear what they're having to say. Listen to what this guy has to say about the market. He's saying this is going to happen.
Play and how long the housing market, once housing prices start going down, how long they're going to go down is going to be a major factor. So I'm just going to right now talk about the next 12 months because beyond that, to me, it looks uglier. But there's timing wise, there's a lot of stuff they're into play that will determine how soon things turn down. The biggest factor is going to be government stimulus. How long can the U.S. dollar stay strong? And as long as the U.S. dollar is strong, the feds have already said, we're going to print all the money we need to print. We're going to inject all the money into the economy that we need to inject.
You hear what he said? The feds said they're going to keep pumping money as much as they need. Now, pay attention to that because when I go to the silver video that you need to hear, that man talks about that's going to happen. Now, in 2014, he said what's happening today is going to happen, and then he's going to tell you how at your feet you have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take advantage of the biggest wealth transformation of your lifetime. Man, I'm trying to share this information. I've been preaching this now since 2018. Of course, I wasn't making videos back then, but listen to what he's saying. This man's saying that they are pumping money galore. In the video later on, you're going to hear him say they're going to do this, and back then they weren't doing it yet. But listen.
To keep the economy growing. So let's talk about what's going to happen to the housing market right now. Because the fact is, real estate right now is still moving. So right now, today, there is still a massive amount of pent-up demand that's been from months and months and actually a couple of years of very, very low inventory. You still have low interest rates, and so the market, in a sense, is still hot. Now, buyers are starting to get back out. Sellers have kind of adjusted to the fear of the pandemic. We're doing a lot of virtual showings, virtual tours, virtual open houses. There's the real estate industry has kind of adjusted and adapted to this new reality. So people are going to buyers are going to be out looking again. Sellers are going to be putting their house on the market again. And so for right now, things are probably going to stay pretty good. And as long as the stock market stays up and the Fed keeps printing money, then it's going to feel like everything's going to be okay.
Let's move ahead just a little bit so you guys can hear. Oh, I think I just passed it up, but here we are anyways.
In April, housing total sales were down dramatically. New pendings and closings have dropped dramatically, 25% more or less in different areas across the country. That is major.
So, and 25% in sales already. But of course, a big portion of that has a lot to do with the Rona, as you guys know this. I mean, Mikey, he's stuck in house situation. Not that he probably wants me to put his business out there, sorry. But because a lot of the loan offices and underwriters are out because of the quarantine. So, of course, we're going to see a huge drop. But what happens when the market reopens? So, that is misleading numbers, although that did happen. That's not the important news. Let's get past the big part.
Hey, this is some of the greatest drop in history in terms of the number of houses to sell, just in terms of things just freezing up. Okay, but if somebody wants to sell, they can still sell. If somebody wants to buy, they can still buy. And prices are still strong right now. The question is, how long is it going to last? So what's happening today beyond that is you still have massive business failures. You still have reduced consumer spending. GDP is contracting. You've got less revenue, fewer jobs, reduced pay. All of those are realities that are in the market right now. Now, what's going to happen in the next 6 months? So here's what I see happening in the housing market. I feel like probably what's going to happen is for the next 6 months, the housing market is going to move along fairly slow, but things are going to hold steady. Okay, there's not going to be a massive amounts of sales, there's not going to be massive amounts of activity, but prices are going to probably hold pretty steady for a couple of reasons. Number one, government stimulus is going to keep the stock market propped up. Number two, you have an election coming up, and President Trump is going to do everything he can to keep the economy moving along. So keep stimulating, keep things going, keep helping people out. Let's just keep things moving. So that is going to be that's going to keep that going on. But the other thing is forbearance. So with the CARES Act, you have the 6 months of forbearance where Americans can get forbearance and they don't have to make a house payment. So all the people that are unemployed right now, people that have lost their jobs or had a massive reduction of income, they don't have to make house payments for 6 months if they've applied for forbearance. Now, if you're a real estate agent and you have people asking you about is it okay for them to request forbearance on their home? Well, they can. And if they're government-backed loans, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, FHA, and all that, they can get it, okay? It affects you. They can't refinance. It's going to show up on their credit. It's going to be an issue for them down the road. So I don't recommend it, but nearly 10% of all mortgages are in forbearance right now. Now, in 6 months, which actually becomes October from the time all this started, in October, that 6 months of forbearance comes to an end. Now, depending on where we are at that time, the CARES Act also said after 6 months, you can apply for an additional 6 months of forbearance. So we have two time frames. We have 6 months from that time that started, which is October, and then we have the 12 months. So 6 months of forbearance followed by an additional 6 months of forbearance. Now you're looking at 12 months. So what happens in 6 months or in October when the first wave of forbearance comes to an end and people go like, okay, now I got to make a decision. Do I ask for another 6 months of forbearance, which just keeps me buried, or do I start paying my mortgage back, or do I realize, you know what, I haven't had a job in 6 months. I've been looking. I'm trying to get a job. I can't get a job. We're just going to have to sell the house. And so my prediction is that when forbearance ends and eventually these unemployed, all the people that are unemployed will not be able to make their mortgage and rent payments. And once that happens, more homes are going to start coming on the market. And I see in October and November, and again, during an election cycle, people tend to not do much real estate wise. So some people will hold out for a few more months. But in that period of time between now and the election, things are going to be fairly stable. But October, November, and all of a sudden, a lot of those people are going to go like, you know what? We still don't have a job. Our income is still down. We still are feeling uncertain. It's time to sell. And I think in 6 months, more or less, you're going to see a wave of real estate, a wave of homes come on the market, and a lot of them are going to be in distressed situations. A lot of them are going to have notice of defaults. There's not going to be as many short sales because you've had more people paying 20% down over the last 10 years. So there'll be people that have some equity still, as long as prices still hold. But there are going to be a lot of people in distress. Now, the problem with that is once more homes on the market, now buyers have more options all of a sudden. And so this number of sales slow down, days on the market goes up, and prices start falling. Now, lenders right now cannot even file notice of defaults during the stay at home and all that kind of stuff. But when all that changes, when all that's lifted and people start going back to the previous ways of doing business, and all of a sudden they realize, wait a second, there are that sense of normalcy. I think a lot of people are going to be shocked to realize that the previous way of doing business has been forever altered. And because of that, you're going to have a lot of economic impact, and a lot of people are going to be realizing my job's never going to be the same. I'm not going to have the same amount of income. Business revenue's down. Company is down. There's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a drop in consumer confidence. And you're going to have those that went for the 12 months of forbearance. That's going to come to an end next spring. Now we're into 2021. So now we're into 2021. And in 2021, we have the elections are passed. Whoever wins, the reality is going to set in. Stimulus has been stimulating. At some point, people get scared. Another wave of houses is going to come on the market next spring. When that happens, depending on how big that wave is, home prices could begin to fall and could fall dramatically.
They're going to fall dramatically. That's not a ifs, ands, or but. when you saturate the market with home sales because of what's going on with the economy currently, unless there's any major drastic changes, it's going to happen. And make no doubt about it, if Trump is not reelected, they're definitely going to happen. I have no faith in anything that the Democrats do. I really don't. I know some of you guys are going to get pissy about that, but they truly are some evil people. Anyways, I trust Trump to do something to help us, not anybody else. So you could bank on this happening. All right, you could bank that this is going to happen to the housing market. So what we're doing is what? We're going to position ourselves to take advantage of when other people are hurting. And yes, that sounds vicious. It sounds mean. But this is how wealthy people became wealthy. We're going to come wealthy. And how do we do that? Well, let's come over here to this. Now, you guys think I'm joking about this. And I told you this. Now, this little tweet came from Santa Surfing. You guys got to check her out if you haven't already. She kicks butt. She's somebody I listen to, Santa Surfing. So if you guys are out there, tell her I said hi. Say hi to April and AJ as well from Spiritually Raw, because I love their videos as well. And you guys know I've been on their show too. So Trump tweeted this: gold is the standard. We all know that Trump's been wanting to go back to the gold standard. But look at this. But silver linings are pretty great too. He's talking about gold and silver. When we do when this happens, we go back to the gold standard. What happens is it's a reset on our gold and silver value. It just happens overnight, and you're going to hear about it. So this is the national debt clock. You guys, anybody can go to it. But if you go down here to the corner of it, see where it says precious metals, you click it. It's going to show you what gold and silver's real value is currently. Don't believe what you see on the market. That's paper value. That's not the same as real value. All right. If you come down here, you can see right now, gold is silver is up to $3,720 per ounce. Gold is at almost 31,000. That is the real true value of gold and silver if we were to go back into the gold standard today. But that's based on the debt that's being reported. Many of us believe the real debt's 3 to 5 times higher than it actually is. But just for the sake of it, let's just go with what we see here. Okay? So you could buy silver right now for like $18-20 an ounce. The price is severely repressed. The same with gold. You could buy gold right now at around $1,900 an ounce. It still would be a steal of a deal. Okay? Now, I want you to listen to this guy's video. This is from 2014. Listen to what he's saying, because it plays a big part in what's happening now. He actually almost predicts what we're seeing now.
So I really think what you're going to see sometime before the end of this decade is a huge deflationary crash, and then countries will print their way right into hyperinflation, because what will happen is they'll print and nothing will happen. And they'll print and nothing will happen. Because as they print...
Where are we at right now? Printing, printing, printing. So far we're okay, but eventually nothing's going to happen.
People are still scared, and they'll save that currency and they won't spend it. And they keep on printing. And in my book I wrote that, you know, like the U.S. government could do helicopter drops. They could refund all the tax that you've ever paid in your entire lifetime.
We are seeing helicopter drops now. And yes, I'm interrupting this because I want to make a point. The government doesn't like for you to save. As a matter of fact, they're going to find ways to force you to take the money and spend it. Our economy is built on debt. It only functions when there's debt. If all these Americans, if all of us started just stop splurging on stuff and just paid your monthly bills and started saving, it would destroy the economy, believe it or not. So here's what's going to happen. What they do to force you to start spending your money is you start getting around. See, as long as it's 0 interest rates or higher, you're okay. But once they start going into negative interest rates at the bank, then it's costing you money to keep your money in the savings. This is why I don't have anything in savings, nothing in an IRA account, nothing in stock, nothing in bonds. If you take your money out of the bank, then you can't lose any money. You see what I'm saying? Because negative interest rates means the bank's paying people to borrow money. And guess whose money they're using? Yours. That's right. And it's a penalty for keeping your money in savings. This is a real sneaky way to do things. Okay? So it's better for you to flip it into gold and silver. But let's get more into this.
Eventually, there will come a time where people say, you know what, I've got enough saved up for retirement, and I really deserve a new car, or I really deserve a new big screen TV. And when people start getting comfortable and that currency comes out into circulation and velocity picks up, you can have a hyperinflation without having to have the countries print their currencies into oblivion. And so how does this affect you, and what can you do about it? This is where the opportunity comes, I believe. I believe in a currency crisis, the people that are, there's going to be a wealth transfer. And for every 1,000 people that don't get prepared, the one person that does get prepared is going to reap rewards at a ratio of 1,000 to 1.
Did you hear what he said? If you are prepared, you are going to reap the benefits at a rate of 1,000 to 1. But I'm going to show you it's actually higher than that. This is from 2014. I'm not sure what his speech is, but it was posted on 2014. Now we're going to listen to his graph, and then I'm going to show you something very interesting.
There's going to be a wealth loss for the people that aren't prepared, and a wealth gain for the people that are prepared, and that it's just a transfer. There's going to be no currency necessarily changing hands, but what you're going to see is the value of currency plummet and the value of precious metals skyrocket. And that is a wealth transfer. And in the United States, there's nothing better that shows it than this graph. This is base money from 1918. The Federal Reserve doesn't supply data before that, all the way until 2 years ago. With QE3, this is up here now. And with the pullback in gold, this is down here. If you could take these lines back here, back to 1913, before the Federal Reserve, they converge. There was an equivalent amount of base money to gold at the Treasury. They expanded that, which was a lie, and then they had problems in the 30s. And there were.
So what he's saying real quick is, and when we were in the gold standard, you only have as much paper currency as you have in gold. That's how it's supposed to be. This is how we stay within the budget. This is how we reduce the power of government.
Bank runs. And they revalued gold in 1934 to 35 bucks an ounce, and the value of the gold at the Treasury once again equaled the value of all the paper currency, the base money in circulation.
So right here, they had to revalue gold and silver, so the value of gold was reset to equal the amount of paper debt. Do you see what I'm talking about? That's why I showed you that national debt clock. So you see here, this is what happened. So they didn't reduce the amount of currency, they increased the amount of gold.
And then we go through World War II, this big expansion for World War II, and North Korea and Vietnam and Johnson's Great Society in the 60s and the 70s. And gold became free trading August 15th of 71. And the will of the public and the free market bid the value of the gold at the Treasury up until it once again equaled the value of all the currency in circulation.
Again, did you hear what he said? The value of gold shot up to equal the amount of currency in circulation. Again, I showed you that on a national debt clock, where it would be today if that were to happen. And it's going to happen.
The opportunity is the spread between these two. This was the amount of opportunity. And so back in the year 2000, it was the greatest, it's as great an opportunity as existed here in 1970. But now with this pullback and the expansion of the currency supply that we've seen with QE3, we have the greatest opportunity in history laid at your feet right now. I believe that the stocks are a good thing, but I also believe that everybody should have.
Your greatest opportunity is at your feet. Did you see that graph? That's from 2014. Now I'm going to blow your mind and show you something. Real quick though, to see when he's talking about stocks, he's talking about mining stocks, not regular stocks. So mining stocks are a great one to invest in. That's why I showed you guys mining stocks and silver stocks on my stock watch. And somebody brought to my attention, I forgot to do one yesterday. So, okay, my bad. I will show you it again, but I was spaced out. So let me show you something. Trump's telling you we're going to the gold standard. That means a reset on the values of gold and silver. Now remember how he's showing you in this gap on a video. If I back up just a little bit, What he's telling you is if you bought and had gold and silver here, then when it shot up, you had a good jump in your wealth. If you had gold and silver here, it shot up, you got wealthy from that. He's saying if you're down here and it's trying to catch up and then all of a sudden it stopped and this gap became bigger. How much bigger? Look at this. Look at this. This is where we are right now, buying in gold and silver. And I keep telling us silver always outperforms gold, but there's nothing wrong with having more. Silver and gold prices we're seeing, they're trying to hold them down because everybody knows if gold and silver starts to shoot up too quick, it causes a panic in the market and you could crash the economy. But those who know about gold and silver know what? We know damn well that they are holding that price down and that this gap here, if you're buying here, when they go to do the reset, and he's going to explain to you how it's going to happen, that means they're going to push gold and values up to equal the amount of money we have in circulation. That's the only way we can go back to the gold standard. Or even if we don't fully go back to the gold standard, the gold and silver value will reset. We will do this again where we catch back up. He just showed you in his little chart how over time it was a gap and then it was reset. Then there was a gap and then it went up again. And there's a gap. Guess what's going to happen? There's going to be a reset on gold and silver. And so if you're smart enough now to start owning physical gold and silver, try to cover your tracks as much as possible. Try to get as much as possible. Hide that crap. Don't let nobody know. So that when the value resets, then all those houses that take a dump because of the economy, guess who gets to buy a ton of them and get them at a very, very, very discounted rate? You do. That's right. So pay attention.
Supply that we've seen with QE3, we have the greatest opportunity in history laid at your feet right now. I believe that the stocks are a good thing, but I also believe that everybody should have some real physical gold and silver. I don't give advice. I never tell people what to do, but what I do is I buy gold and silver, physical. And so now, in a Kondratiev winter and in currency crisis, what happens is you wake up one day and the opportunity is gone. This is the Russian ruble from 1919 up until today, and there's these enormous revaluations. This is during the Russian Revolution, the revaluations of the currency. But look at the number of revaluations that they've had, and when you see the scale of these revaluations, it's just absolutely mind-boggling how much purchasing power the Russian government kept on stealing from their population. But what happens in a currency crisis, does anybody here, have they heard of long-term capital management? Okay, this was a hedge fund that blew up back in the late 90s, and it just about caused the entire world financial to melt down. We came within hours of everything freezing up and no credit cards working, not being able to get anything out of your bank account, everything being shut down.
That is going to happen. I keep warning you guys about the lessons from Cyprus. This is going to happen. This is why I also tell you, take and keep somewhere safe in your house 3 to 6 months worth of money. Take it out of the bank. Hide it. So this way, if you can't go to the ATM, you at least have some money, emergency money in your house. Do you hear what this man's saying? He's warning you. And in the movie, and in the video I did called The Lessons from Cyprus, I warn you. I show you that this is going to happen. It's already happening around the world. This is why it's so hard right now to buy silver and gold. It's really hard to find. Okay? This is the reason why. Everybody that knows anything about gold and silver, including the wealthy people. I showed you guys there was a video in which Wall Street was telling everybody to stay away from gold and silver. It's not necessary. The stock market's fine. And then we got a leaked memo of them telling their investors, buy silver and gold. What the F is up with that? Why are you going to tell the public? Because that's how conniving these people are.
Down. What happened was Alan Greenspan got a bunch of very smart people and the world's big banks all together to bail out this hedge fund. And everybody found out about it after the deal was put together. When Lehman Brothers melted down, did you find out about it before it happened, or did you find out about it after the Federal Reserve and the Secretary of the Treasury and everybody got together and came up with a solution, and it was already dissolved, and other banks had Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers? I mean, what happens is there's an emergency, and a very few people keep it secret, and they try and solve the problem, and then you wake up in the morning, problem solved. Well, what happens in a currency revaluation is there's an emergency going on behind the scenes. The public doesn't know about it. A few people get together in a room and they decide that the solution of the problem is to make gold, for instance, in this thing, the coming currency crisis. You might see gold go from where it is to, say, $8,000 an ounce, or $7,000, as Jim Rickards believes, or maybe $15,000 an ounce, like I think might happen. That's what it
That's in 2014.
requires for that base money to cover the currency supply again.
He's talking about 2014, that graph. That's how much gold would have to be in order for it to recover, to get back up to where that base money supply is. I'm showing you back in 2014, it was right here is what he's talking about. Look at this. Don't you think it's a little bit bigger now? Do you see this jump right here? Yeah. Yeah. This is us. This is where we're going to go. The value of gold, in my opinion, is going to be at a level that people cannot conceive right now. I just showed you the debt clock. 31,000 is where it's at right now. They're showing you silver at 3,000. Silver is a lot cheaper to get, and you can get a whole hell of a lot more than that. So what's that mean? If silver jumps up to, what's it, 31,000? So where are we at right now? Let me show you some. So let's take 31,000. I'm going to show you some. 31,000 is what they're saying it's going to be. 31,000 divided by the current rate of, let's say, 1,800. That's a 17.2 increase times. So the increase of gold that they're predicting, it'll increase 17.2. Gold right now, okay, so they're saying, what is it? Silver is at, let's say 3,100? I think it was actually higher than that. Let me just double check because I want to show you how important this is. The national debt clock. National debt clock. Come on. I'm going to show you something. Watch. Because that was 17.2 was the increase of the value of gold if we were to use a debt clock and it was to happen today. That's where it would be. What happened? Come on. So let's take a look. Really? What are you doing to me here? Okay, there we go. So if you come down here to where I told you guys go to, and we scroll down here. So they're saying 3,700, okay? 3,700. Let's just use round numbers. 3,700 divided by 18. So if you buy gold, you could be looking at an increase 17 times your current investment. But if you buy silver, I told you, in the crisis, silver always outperforms gold. You're looking at a 205% increase. So if you bought $100,000 worth of gold today, and $100,000 worth, or let's say Mr. A buys $100,000 worth of silver, and Mr. B grabs $100,000 worth of gold. Once the reset happens, the gold will increase approximately 17 times its original $100,000 investment. But Mr. A, who bought silver, is looking at a 205 times his original investment. Do the math. That's a huge difference between gold and silver. This is why I tell people, look, man, this is best situation for people who don't have a lot of discretionary funds. Man, silver's cheap. That's the best one. As much as you want to jump all over gold, and I say be diversified. But good Lord, man. buy the silver.
And is about 15 grand an ounce or higher. And so the revaluations can be blindingly quick, and they can add up to some mind-boggling figures. This is the Russian revaluations. If you went back to Peter the Great, when he established the gold Russian ruble, and then the revaluations that happened during the Russian Revolution, 10,000 to 1, 100 to 1. In other words, your old currency is no longer useful. You have to bring it into the government and exchange 100 Canadian dollars or American dollars or whatever for one of the new currency that the government is coming out with. And then 50,000 to 1. That's 3 revaluations in this short period during the Russian Revolution. Then 10 to 1. Then 10 to 1. And then 1,000 to 1. And when you add all of these together, 1922, 23, 24, 47, 61, and 1998, this went along with the long-term capital management problem. This happened 1 year after the long-term capital management problem, and long-term capital management contributed to the Russian default that caused this currency crisis, where the Russians, they ended up with 0.1% of their purchasing power after this currency conversion. 1,000, you bring in 1,000 of your current Russian rubles that you thought were worth something when you went to bed that night. You get up the next morning, you got to bring them into the bank, and you get to trade those 1,000 for one of the new ones. And what that adds up to is the Russian ruble was devalued 5 quadrillion times over that time frame. This is the amount of theft that governments can perpetrate on their populations. So the opportunity sometimes comes in a bull market that progresses and then peaks, and then you go into a bear market. That's in a Kondratiev summer. In a Kondratiev winter, many times it's a currency crisis that requires an overnight, lightning-fast revaluation, and the opportunity does not exist after that. I believe, though, that what will happen is you're going to see people, if gold did get revalued suddenly to $15,000 an ounce, the opportunity is gone there, but where is silver? So I think right after a revaluation, you would see people flooding into silver.
Flooding into, why wait? Do it now. Look at the difference. You have to have a reset. There has to be a global currency reset of everybody revaluing their currency based on the amount of gold they have. Gold is going to skyrocket. But even more than that, silver is going to pass that up. So you people out there go, look, man, I only got like $20 at discretionary funds. So what? Man, if you do, go grab 1 ounce of silver. Go to your local store. It starts adding up, dude. Or if you can't, just start grabbing them. Just start grabbing one at a time. One at a time. Don't think you can't get on this bandwagon. Did you still have time now? I told you guys what I was doing. I had my little kids run around collecting aluminum cans. That's what I did. And aluminum cans, I chased them in. Some of you guys got kids. Time to go do a little dumpster diving. Don't be shy. Dumpster dive now, live the high life later. All right? So that, look around your house. I told you, I told you guys this. What you should do is go around your house, see things that are valuable that you know you absolutely don't have to have right now, and that you could get some money for. You go, yeah, look, I like this, but it's not that big of a deal. Like me, I had a treadmill that was a really good place to hang clothes. Nobody was really using the treadmill, so I sold it for a couple $100 because I knew I could get rid of it really quick. Turn around and flip that into silver. That's what you guys should start doing. Find little things around the house that you absolutely know you don't need right at this moment. And start stacking up, man. Hide it. Don't let people know where it is. And then once this happens, and this is going to happen overnight, like you said, you're going to wake up one day and they're going to be like, surprise! And then it's going to be too late to do anything about it. 1 in every 1,000 people are going to be ready for this. And I like to think that about, more than 50% of those people that were ready, it's because they listened to my video, okay? So look, man, you have nothing to lose if you have some discretionary funds to start stacking up on silver. Okay, it's just my opinion. All right, we are going to see a global currency reset. You are going to see us go back to the gold standard. Look at this. Gold is the standard, but silver linings are pretty good too. Trump's talking about the freaking value of gold and silver. Man, for those of you who watch or follow QAnon, or you know what I mean, then you guys know Trump has what's called Trump speak. He leaves these little codes out there, and you better know what he's talking about. He knows we are going back to the gold standard. Look at this, June 24th. This was just yesterday. All right? So thank you, Santa Surfer, for putting this up there because I didn't catch it till it was on her show. I don't have Twitter, so I don't catch Trump's tweets. All right? Trump will get reelected. We will go back to the gold standard. But he has to have control of the House and the Senate. If you guys want your money to jump up there, and you guys want to be able to pick up a lot of property that's been discounted, this is an opportunity to be one of those people that experienced the largest wealth transformation of a lifetime. You will come out on the other side wealthy. And you could pass that wealth down. You could protect that wealth with gold and silver. All right? So even once it happens, you want to exchange some of the gold and silver. You know what I mean? But you also want to hold on to it too, because that's how you transfer the wealth to your family. You got to educate your kids on money and then educate them on gold and silver. The last thing you want your kids to go, yes, dude, I just inherited, 1,000 silver bars, man. It's worth X amount of money. And they go and they screw it off at one time. Now is the time, man. You need to start educating your kids on gold and silver. We are looking at a once in a lifetime opportunity, So I'm going to leave a link to those videos so you guys can go listen to what they're saying about the real estate market. And this gentleman, even though it's from 2014, it applies more now than ever before. But remember, when he was showing you that graph, the gaps weren't that big. See here? And then it caught back up again. You know what I mean? Then yeah, there's a bigger gap now than we've ever seen. I just showed you guys the national debt clock. And that's if they're reporting the right amount of debt. We still think it's 3 to 5 times that actual amount. So this is one of the best videos that you should share. Use it. Show people. At least make an attempt. So share the videos. If you don't know how to share a video, let me show you. And then you don't have to go down here and hit share. See this right here? Go up here where it says URL is. Highlight the whole thing. Copy it. And then you could go somewhere and you could just post it. So if I come in here like this and I do like this, see that same link and I post it like this? You wait for it to pop up like that and then hit post. That's how you can share videos. Share videos with people. Let them see what the hell is going on. Man, if you got family members, it is time to start educating them on what is going on. It now is the time, you guys. Now is the time. If ever before, right now, AmpMix has gold and silver on sale. This is awesome, man. This is really awesome. So for those of you who are asking where to go to your local gold and silver coin shop first. Try to buy as much as the gold and coins there because it's cheaper and there's no paper trail. And you could, use cash over the table with no paper trail. So it's nobody's business. 1 ounce of gold right now at AmpMix is on sale. All right. It's on sale. AmpMix, APMEX. Now's the time, people. All right, I hope you guys take advantage of this opportunity. I hope you share it as well. Like if you like the information, because if you come out on the other side good, you can get properties, you can live off them, rentals, the whole 9 yards, all right? So hit the like button if you haven't already. Please subscribe because it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it when you do that. All right, you guys, I'll catch you on the other side.